We are finally here. I am Couch Coop and we are looking at Sunbreak on the PlayStation 5. This is DLC paid for Monster Hunter Rise. It actually came out in 2022. I am very, as usual, late to this party. And yes, my Palimute armor does resemble a superbike at the back end there. Unbelievably cool stuff. This is just an initial look at the new hub, and it is dressed up and far more busy and convenient than that base game mission section. The mousters on the train going round in the background there, it goes up all into the castle and under this bridge into this mountain. You could be standing here for ages watching the detail go past. This entire game is going to be captured in the quality mode, which gives us 4K. You can put it onto performance, then you get access to the 120 frames per second mode. Yes, I need a new TV. We're looking up the specs to remind myself at what this game runs at. Something unbelievably cool happened to me. Now, you know I'm always moaning about how the algorithm and the internet and Google in general just hates me. Well, check this out. Check who is the suggested video when you start looking into Rise performance. I actually couldn't believe it. It was quite an emotional moment for me. I'm not going to lie. I've spent 8 years trying to get my name to appear in Google searches, and that was the first time I've actually seen it on the first page and, you know, up there with the top suggested media, even Digital Foundry.
Penis, dicks, ass, titties.
Now let's talk about the DLC itself and how it fits with the base game and how the Monster Hunter series has traditionally handled its paid DLC. The only bigger one that I can really remember is Iceborne, which is attached to Monster Hunter World. This may or may not bear relation to the title of the video, but this could be the best DLC I've played for the Monster Hunter series, full stop. Iceborne grabbed me so hard and I was sucked in. Over 1,000 hours in that game and its DLC. Not only do we have new monsters and new maps, but we also have what is traditionally called G rank. This is Master rank, or MR, or M as it's called in the DLC. So this is where things get a little bit complicated. Master rank means that the monsters behave very differently to their traditional base models in Rise. They are crazy, their attacks are queued up, they will always follow up on hits. It's like they're on roids. Fights with monsters that you're well familiar with are completely unrecognizable, and they come up with brand new ways to get you eliminated. This is twofold with Rise. If you watch my original review of the base game, all of the monsters have had attacks tailored around the wire bug to make sure that you can't completely take the piss and they can counteract you, which has changed the behaviors of some traditional monsters. Rathalos, Raytheon do things that would blow your mind. Combine this with Master Rank madness and you have got yourself one hell of a fight with every single monster you come up against, be it something really familiar or be it something brand new on the roster. Now, to add another layer to this beautiful cake of meta, we have the wirebug skills themselves, which have new options with Sunbreak. I'm talking about additionals that you put on your loadout that allow the wirebugs to enhance your weapons behavior. You have 2 slots, and with Sunborn you can switch the 2 slots out in real time, giving you 4. When I played that Wilds beta, I realized how much they've crammed into Rise on a control front, and sometimes it is a bit overwhelming. You don't get to explore all of it, and the options in your brain just make it fall over sometimes because you've got so many different directions to go. Enough of your wittering on. Can we see some gameplay? Loud noises, monsters being maimed, and swords being swung. That little chicken kick just to get me out of the way there. My charge blade does turn into a huge buzzsaw on the input, and it is unbelievably amazing, but that's not a new addition from Sunbreak. We had that especially in way back, even in Generations, can you believe? And the good news is with Sunbreak and Monsters is that we're seeing the return of some absolutely iconic names from Generations, even Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Monster Hunter for me, and this goes right back to my first experience with it over on the 3D DS, feels like an amalgamation of all of the good third-person ARPGs that are out there on the market. And the game comes with 14 different weapons, which have as much detail behind them and mastery to a fighter in a fighting game. So someone might just play as Ken or Ryu their entire time with Street Fighter 2 and not look at anything else. You can totally do that with Monster Hunter. It's that good. If you're into it, you know. It's like the kind of gamer's secret. Anybody who has experienced this game for any length of time is well aware of its greatness. Just some people who look on in don't quite realize how magnificent a series this is and how strong Rise and Sunbreak are. This is kind of my first true variant monster. What I mean by that, it's a play on its traditional build type. I've got a new element in it. It's throwing these pine cones at you. It's got a different name, but more to the point. It's got better armor, or better looking armor, and a whole range of its own weapons that exist on this master rank echelon. Learning and seeing the new attacks is also a bit of a joy because they'll surprise you. Moves that require wire bug intuition, to say the least. If you're a Souls player or a Souls-like fan and you're watching this Charge Blade footage, yeah, guard is R2 and the muscle memory is completely parallel to fighting a Souls boss. You just don't have that focus button. You have to manually do it with your own button or key, which is kind of cool because you can be unhooked, as I call it, and then choose to focus once you want to push attacks in. A lot of Souls-likes require another input to then stop looking at the enemy. With this, it feels a little bit more traditional. That wire bug avoid there, goddamn, I'm good with this weapon. And integration, less about my skills and more about what you're seeing on screen. You will notice an NPC fighting with you. This is huge. The quest handler has got a whole roster of co-op missions to do with AI. This is a massive step in the series for me. You used to be able to get people to help you out in the rampage section, but never run around the map with you like this. And I think you can open this up more and have more choice. Their weapons are amazing. They never complain. They never leave the lobby. They never die twice. They never selfishly refuse to buff you. Or just leave halfway through a quest. Yeah, the AI might be the way forward with some of the Monster Hunter Master Rank stuff. Don't get me wrong, this game is great with a mate or two. It is actually perfect because you've got to communicate, you've got to share lives on the fight. That's one of the angles with the game. You can't really carry someone who's no good because they'll die and end the quest before you get the chance to kill the monster. So it's important you're communicating, buffing each other, healing each other, and that doesn't work with randos. Sometimes they're extremely OP and the quest just gets bulldozed within minutes, so it's not all bad. And once you get to Master Rank and into this DLC, you've really only got serious Monster Hunter players joining your lobbies. We are also looking at one of the new maps here. When Sunbreak came out, there was a demo with it. So some of you may have seen this before. This chicken is one of my more hated monsters in the entire series. I'm using that crab gun, which is really OP. So I'm now experiencing some of the very hard-hitting weapons. One of the issues of jumping into Master Rank is you're going to be using high-rank weapons and gear until you get something killed. So there is that tightrope, but it's fun. Once things start moving, this insect clave, again, way too powerful. Back to that Street Fighter analogy and also the original Rise review and game. Sometimes these wirebug additions and attack patterns and jumping around, having 2 hops in the air, coming down, up again, it's just so much to process when you're playing with the insect clave. I do like its additions, but I feel that that weapon's selling point was its maneuverability, and everybody now having good maneuverability in that direction sort of leveled the playing field a bit with the glaive.
Oh. また外れか。あ？君は？
So there's sort of a natural evolution with your appearance. You start bolting on different parts of these master rank monsters, or like me, become obsessed with getting the full set. This goes for your Palico and Palamute, along with fighting these awesome creatures. I think that's one of my major passions, is the fashion. There is a sprinkling of new meta put onto those new monsters in the form of the mount mechanic, meaning that you can exploit their moves, see what they're all about. You'll be able to get on some of the craziest, scariest monsters in the entire series and go toe to toe with another creature. It's a spectacular addition and taken away for Wilds, unfortunately. I imagine that's probably quite a difficult thing to handle in Engine. We are back at the traditional mount setup from Worlds with a bit of edge to it when it comes to Wilds. That's not confusing at all. And here is the infamous Shogun. You will know this guy if you have played older Monster Hunter games. Now, I'm trying to think of an equivalent franchise that brings back traditional older bosses and not only improves them, but also preserves that thing that gave you that nostalgic feeling when fighting them in the first place. It's quite an accomplishment. Missing a charge blade shot like that does make you swear out loud. A few games actually do that to me. And back to the conversation on the moveset with the improved monsters for Rise and Sunbreak. This crab will jump the entire map to give you the Bleed Blight, which is the first time you actually come across it in this DLC, and it does ruin everything. Also, when you're like, enough now, I just need a minute, he's like, no, you're not getting away from me. He'll chase you right out of the map arena you're fighting in. Yeah, I did not miss with that one. It brings me back to that Generations conversation and the map load screens and some of the ease of life that came across from Worlds that got put into Rise. Rise really feels like Monster Hunter Generations with its weapon design and zany colours and crazy armor types. There was always that conversation bouncing around with Monster Hunter World and its weapon design. They were all bone and steel focused and none of them sort of let go of reality. It was very grounded, it was quite gritty. I loved it. It was a different angle to the series and the graphics could handle it. That beautiful brushed steel and detailed bone looked awesome. So it's really cool to have the best of both worlds, no pun intended, with some of those additions and still having absolutely crazy looking weapons and armor. The carnage from those two NPCs just never stops. The gun that the other one's got is explosive. They're popping off all the time. They will even put barrels down when the monster falls asleep to increase the damage on awakened hits. It's brilliant having these two following you around during a hunt. Master Utoshi jumping around with these long swords. There's no reason why we can't have that. He's in the rampages.
再び新たなる的を見つけたならば捨ておくことなど考え及ぶはずもなく的を鎧を変え振られる刃は苛烈さを増す対峙すれば命であがなう以外術がない
If you were so crazy about this game, why did you wait 2 years in order to put it on your channel or to play it? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I was secretly holding out for like a dual content single disc release, physical. I thought that would be amazing. It might still happen. It also sat at around £36 on launch, and it is still that today. It went half price discount for a while and I missed it. So the resentment is the fact that it's digital DLC that I have to access via my digital copy of Monster Hunter Rise. It's okay, I just love to have and to hold these things. Such a shame you haven't seen a really good limited edition, high quality release of Sunbreak and Monster Hunter Rise on a beautiful box set. There probably is one, they'll be in the comments reminding me. I also had a mountain to do on Monster Hunter Rise before getting to this DLC. You do have to get to high rank 7. That's not a small job, and I wanted to make sure everything was ironed out before going to the new content. I think I've just about got to it in the nick of time, with Wilds being released in February of 2025. So it's going to like queue up perfectly. I'm not going to have no Monster Hunter downtime because Wilds is literally out in 2 months. Can't believe I get to say that. It's amazing. Doing the maths on this gun, just working out how much damage you're doing per clip is ridiculous. That is the fun part of getting to use a lot of the new monster weapons, is seeing those huge numbers everywhere. Should you bother with Monster Hunter Worlds before Wilds comes out if you haven't played that game? Yes, 1,000 times yes, because it obeys more to the rules of that model than this game does. You'll be more comfortable stepping into Wilds after World. And if you've never got to Monster Hunter Rise and have played Monster Hunter World, you're in for a huge treat. These graphics, i.e. the fact that it's technically an upscaled Switch game, does not put you off because of the velocity that it runs at. It's crazy colours, crazy noises, sounds, bangs, people dying, explosions. You are never bored in Monster Hunter Rise. Keeping that turf war thing in was a very cool idea. I'm quite surprised to see how well it runs in that engine. And that's also available over on the Switch as well. Having this game on handheld is pretty amazing. It's something that just bursts out of the screen. It's just so lively. But I will say, be careful on your sticks on the traditional controls on the side of the Switch. They'll get punished to hell. I would recommend an external pad. Here's a Stalos, one of my favourite Gen X monsters. The green electricity attacks, the armour is next level visually. Stats wise it's okay on the Thunder Resistance I think, but his Luminous, the spikes, you heard me talk about Gormangala in the post on the community page. Yeah, he's full Geiger, that thing is like Alien with wings. Again, don't want to show you too much, you need to get in there and start beating some monsters up. I consider this to be not only a masterpiece of DLC, but also a great love letter to some of the best monsters in that IP's history. Absolutely amazing stuff. It also runs like a freaking unstoppable locomotive on that quality mode, and Sunbreak offers us some amazing NPC involvement both on quest and off. That one I didn't expect. It is now very strong as a single player offline game with the addition of the followers. Am I going to get a Helldivers video out before Christmas about the new race Illuminati? I'm going to try very hard. And I do have a bit more cheeky local co-op footage on the old PlayStation 5. That will be getting pushed out before Christmas Day. I will then have to make my decision on Game of the Year. Guys, give me yours in the comments. I know Stellar Blade's going to smash it. I do want to talk about Dragon's Dogma, Rise of the Ronin, Space Marine 2. We've had a pretty damn good year. My name was Couch Coop, and I will see you down there.